Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about the founder, well, one of the founding fathers of our country, America, George Washington. George Washington, I think, is a interesting fellow. Um, I was born in Nashville, Tennessee, in a city called Mount Juliet, and in my school, they would teach about George Washington as if he was the equivalent to Jesus. Like, the image is Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, George Washington. That's what it was. So, I come from a place where the man was very idolized, as he is all across the country. There are monuments. There's Mount Rushmore. They're all over America. George Washington was the president in 1789. The American Revolutionary War against the British and the French, Native Americans, all that good, lovely stuff happening. We really see. I didn't know that he was born in Virginia. That's interesting. So, George Washington was actually born in America, which makes him an American. Isn't that crazy? He's often called the father of the country because he has the role leading the nation to its founding. So he's obviously the father of our country. Um, Very interesting that he's born in Virginia. Virginia is on the East Coast, which makes sense. He shouldn't be born in California, especially since it wasn't brought into our union until the 1800s. So, yeah, so the 1800s is when California was, so I was right. I just guessed, but yeah. That's some interesting stuff. So, George Washington, he really was a rebellious figure. He would always be fighting against the British on American lands and in the ocean. He was, the lead. Really, we see George Washington not being evil or anything like that. He's really an American citizen fighting against the British, and that's very interesting. Now, did he do some sketchy stuff later on in his life? I'm pretty sure he did. And we're going to get into that. And so did Abraham Lincoln, but that's a different time. So he was the first U.S. president, elected by the council that was present. I actually saw a video recently of that room. Today I saw a video of it. We really see some cool stuff happening with George Washington being from Virginia. Always having something against the British. I love that. So, what all did Washington do throughout his presidency? Well, we should look into that. I know that he helped create some of the leading constitutional bars that are needed to become president. He didn't see himself being a king. He really wanted America to be set on a principle, and he wanted to follow that principle no matter what, right? So, let's look into this. So, throughout the wars, supposedly America was in a lot of debt. Nothing new there. However, he was able to help create the financial system for America to help get our national taxes settled, to get our duties paid. And this is why he hated the British, because they were the ones taxing us. His foreign policy was to stay neutral between Europe. He didn't probably like how the direction that things were going. We did just take a bunch of land from Britain, and we're over here, making a ruckus. We're really effing stuff up. So he really is pushing for neutrality and trying to just normalize America being a country. So the first thing, and this is what I meant earlier when I was talking about George Washington, is he evil? Well, we need to really dive into that, and I think he did some sketchy things later on during his presidency. So we have him trying to tax the American people on their whiskey. And we love our alcohol, right? So there was obviously a big mix up there when that happened. Yeah, and people were very mad that they were getting taxed on something with a higher tax rate than what they're used to. America's trying to become a country. They're trying to pay off their debts and stuff, and then alcohol is going through the roof. It's upsetting people. They're always attacking our drinks. You have the Boston tea event, and then you also have this whiskey rebellion in 1794. Really, it is just the whiskey rebellion. I gotta look into this a little bit more because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. That's interesting. So the Whiskey Rebellion was not caused by Europe. It was caused inside the United States by American citizens against American citizens. So we had the North, Pennsylvania here, going against farmers, which makes sense because that's where the capital is. It's in Pennsylvania territory, Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C. is right there. And I believe at this time, a lot of that land was like federally owned by the government. So Pennsylvania is influencing taxes, wanting more money for the whiskey that they're selling in America. And this is what protesters did. They refused to pay the taxes. Some attacked the tax collectors. And Washington responded by sending a large militia force. So, yeah, they were trying to tax American citizens more money for their alcohol, and George Washington went in there with the army, the military, and shut them right up. I don't think that that's something a good person does. I don't know. Really squeezing the money out of people for alcohol, is that really the right thing to do? Yeah, the US government was showing it had real power. Washington proved he could enforce laws peacefully. And George Washington went in there with the army, the military, and shut them right up. Is that peaceful? So what else did Washington do? Well, we should look into that because it's getting interesting now. So we also have Washington allowing the Northwestern Territory to be colonized, allowing us to grow from our 13 colonies onward. So thank you, George Washington. Really, this is when the British were like, fine, take the land. We don't care. The Louisiana Purchase was right around the corner, I'm sure. And we really have, I'm going to make sure. Yeah, so the Louisiana Purchase was done right afterwards. So 1795, we have America moving into, Michigan, Indiana, those types of territories. Literally 10 years later, we have the Louisiana Purchase. So we had taken land from the British, then we took the Louisiana Purchase 10 years after that. That's a lot of development in just 20 years. So within 20 years, we went from 13 states to like 30 something plus probably. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. So George Washington not only enforced taxes unfairly on the Americans for, debts and damages from wars prior, he also allowed America to travel westward, getting land from the British and the French to allow us to... that's even more messed up because they sold us that territory and then the British and the French were giving guns to the Native Americans. So they sold the land and then they were fueling a war that we had to fight for the next 150 years. So that's interesting. I really would like to go more into the Whiskey Rebellion because I think there's more there than what we think. Especially in regards to the Civil War happening in the 1850s. We're really looking at the stage setting up before the Civil War. You have the North telling the South, like, hey, pay them taxes for your whiskey. Pay them. And it wasn't New York this time, it was Pennsylvania. Okay, whatever. Whenever the North wants to start treating their Southern brothers as a part of the country, the better, because, I don't know, taxing the Southern portion is just causing the nation to split, obviously. And today I see taxes rising. I don't know, something to think about. So, the question, is George Washington evil? Is he dangerous? Was he a good guy? Him being born in Virginia and being an American, that's good. Him implementing and forcing taxes for the Americans to pay, that's kind of messed up. All these little taxations on the American people have really caused our turmoil, hasn't it? Why are we paying these people while they are giving guns and ammunition to the Native Americans to stop us from getting the land we just bought? They've been playing the American people for hundreds of years, and we are the poor class that they didn't want. They got rid of us, and we're not even allowed to go back to their country. And they're still obsessed with us. They done got rid of us. They make us pay taxes, and they're still obsessed with us. So, yeah, there's a lot more to this story than what people are really claiming to know, claim to say, and it looks very interesting in my point of view. Yeah. Anyway, if you guys like the video, please like and subscribe. I make videos every week, and I'll see you guys next week for another video. I don't know what the topic will be, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, but yeah, let me know what you guys think, in the comments below. And until then, I'll see ya. Goodbye.